Okay, so good morning, everyone. Today we are starting with a new session on pairwise sequence alignment. And with the module of Introduction to Bioinformatics, we have already discussed about what is bioinformatics, about the various applications of bioinformatics, about various biological databases. Then we went for the basics of sequencing methods along with the next generation sequencing and whole genome sequencing. But today we'll be studying about the one of the most important applications of bioinformatics, that is how to go with the similarity searching, that is pairwise sequence alignment. Okay, basically there are two kinds of sequence alignment, and what is sequence alignment we'll discuss today in our session. But my main focus will be on pairwise sequence alignment, talking more about dynamic programming. Okay, so I'll start my presentation. Okay, so what is sequence alignment? The first question is, you need to understand that what is alignment. So alignment is actually a process where we are trying to find similar regions when two or more than two sequences they are aligned together. Okay, so the main purpose of alignment is when we are trying to find out similarity between sequences. The similarity can be between two sequences, and similarity can be between more than two sequences. So both the possibilities are there if we'll talk about sequence alignment. Okay. The next thing is what kind of sequences we'll be talking about. Okay. What kind of sequences? So there will be two kind of sequences. The first will be our nucleotides, and the second one will be our protein sequences. Okay, and both the sequences we have already gone through various sequence databases. So we have talked about these sequences, and there are two sequence databases. The nucleotide is dealing with GenBank, DDBJ, and EMBL, whereas these protein sequence databases they include SwissProt, PIR, MIPS, NRL3D, etc. Okay, so whenever we want to go with similarity searching, then what we can do is we can just go for the sequence analysis. We can go for these kind of sequences which we can extract or retrieve from databases, like which I have given you example. Okay, now the second thing is, what are the different types of alignment methods? So we need to understand that when we are trying to find out similarity between the sequences, then we can do it by two methods. Okay, the first method is said to be the pairwise alignment method. Okay, and the second method is when we are going with the multiple sequence alignment method. Okay, so both are the methods. You can use both the methods. The first one, the pairwise alignment method, it helps us to go with methods like dot plot. Okay, then there is dynamic programming. Then there is heuristic approach or the k-tuple approach. So these methods, they help us to go with pairwise sequence alignment. And in pairwise sequence alignment, we will just consider two sequences, a pair of sequences basically. Okay. The other one is, the method is said to be multiple sequence alignment. So in case of this multiple sequence alignment, we will deal with more than two sequences actually. Okay, so more than two sequences is when we are talking about alignment, trying to search out similarity between more than two sequences, trying to align them in a manner so that we can get maximum similar region. Okay, then we need to understand what is the purpose to go for sequence alignment. I told you that by definition, sequence alignment is to search out for similar regions. Okay, and to search out for similar regions, we are either aligning two sequences or we are aligning more than two sequences. And also told you that sequences can be nucleotide or they can be protein sequences. Okay, but what is the purpose to go for sequence alignment? Okay, so the major applications of this sequence alignment is when you want to go for the search of motif regions. When I talked about the secondary databases for proteins, then I told you, I gave you examples for ProSites, Prints, Okay, blocks identified. These were certain motive or secondary databases. So motive is actually that similar region which we get when we are aligning two or more than two sequences. And motif region, this is actually responsible to tell you that if there is similarity in sequences, probably there is similarity in their structure or there is similarity in their function. So the most important application for sequence alignment is it will help us to go with the prediction of these motif regions. The second important application of sequence alignment is when we want to go for homology modeling. So we have discussed about protein, its structure, the prediction methods. We talked about secondary structure prediction method as well as we talked about the tertiary structure prediction method. Okay, so in case of this tertiary structure prediction method, I told you when we want to go for the prediction for the creation of a protein three-dimensional structure, possibly just because the structure is not there in the protein data bank database. Okay, so this is the reason why we are trying to create a 3D structure just to, in order to understand how the protein looks in reality. Okay, so for this we have gone with the process of tertiary structure prediction. And the most important one, the most famous one was homology modeling. But whenever we are going with the creation of a 3D structure, we need to understand that for creating a 3D structure for any sequence, for any query sequence or a target sequence, we need to have standard sequences for which we also have their three-dimensional structures. So this sequence alignment process, this actually helps us to just find those similar regions between a query sequence and the sequence which we are considering as our standard sequence or the template sequence. Okay, so the second most important application of sequence alignment is it will help us to go with the process of homology modeling. Without aligning the sequences, we cannot go with the creation of a three-dimensional structure. Okay, the third important application of sequence alignment is phylogenetic tree construction. Okay, so phylogenetic tree construction is a process where we are considering that the sequences are somehow related to each other and the relationship between them is an evolutionary relationship. We consider that they are connected to each other, possibly generations before. Maybe they were identical to each other, that is, they are having 100% similarity, or they have a certain amount of similarity. Okay, that is, they are having some kind of variation as well. So considering all these things, identity, similarity, variation, we will try to find out that are the species somehow connected to each other? Is their sequence, is their structure, is their function related to each other? So this will help us to create a phylogenetic tree. And sequence alignment, and particularly the multiple sequence alignment, this is used to go with this phylogenetic tree construction. Okay, so I'll just brief you once more. So we are talking of the topic sequence alignment. Sequence refers to nucleotide sequences or protein sequences. Alignment refers to a process where we are trying to search for all the similar regions. The purpose of searching for similarity in sequences is because we consider if there is similarity in sequences, then there is similarity in structure and there is similarity in function as well. Okay, the applications, the major applications of sequence alignment processes: motif prediction, homology modeling, phylogenetic tree construction, and the major two methods are pairwise alignment and multiple sequence alignment. Okay, when we try to search for these regions, these similar regions, we will search out for two kinds of regions. They can be local regions or global regions. What are they? We'll discuss further. And in my session today, I will majorly focus on the dynamic programming method that comes under the category of pairwise sequence alignment. And this method is actually working for global alignment approach. Okay, and the alignment results which this approach is producing is supposed to be the most optimal alignment result, okay, compared to the other methods. Now moving to the next slide, you can see that what are the different types of sequence alignments. Okay, I told you there are basically two types of alignments. The first one is local type and the other one is global type. Okay, local type, global type, pairwise type, multiple type. Okay, but the main purpose is trying to search for the similar regions. Always we are trying to align sequences. Our purpose is just to find out those similar regions, or in keyword we can say that we are trying to find out the motif regions. Okay, so local type is a type where we will try to search out the local regions. We will have number of local regions, number of motif regions. But when we'll talk about the global alignment, this is said to be end-to-end alignment. Okay, when we are aligning two sequences, the two sequences will be aligned from one end to the other end, and we will not only cover the similar regions, but we will cover the dissimilar regions or the mismatches or the gaps. Because in case of global alignment, we are considering that these gaps, these mismatches, these variable regions are supposed to be those regions that got converted into these regions just because of mutational changes. Okay, so what we will consider while aligning in the case of global alignment is that once upon a time sequence A and B both were identical to each other just because of mutation that happened generations before this variation took place. Okay, but somehow both the sequences, they are related to each other, they are leading to the common functions. Okay, so this will be the hypothesis behind a global type of alignment approach. But in case of local type of alignment, we are just supposing these are the similar regions, and if there is similarity in these sections, then obviously the structure for both the sequences will be similar enough, and possibly that particular section will have a similar kind of function. This is our approach for our local type of alignment. Okay. Then the two kinds of methods under a sequence alignment. I told you that there are two methods. One is the pairwise sequence alignment, because we need to understand that while aligning the sequences, we can align either two sequences. Okay, and the second approach will be when we can align multiple sequences. While aligning the multiple sequences, our approach can be we are adding sequences one by one, okay, trying to search for similar regions again. But the famous one is the pairwise sequence alignment if we are searching for homology modeling. And the famous one is multiple sequence alignment when we are searching for phylogenetic tree construction. So both are having their own applications. Pairwise is very much helpful for this kind of homology modeling steps, and multiple will help us to create an evolutionary tree. Okay, so moving ahead for the methods under these two categories. So pairwise include the three methods: dot plot, dynamic programming, and heuristic approach. Okay, whereas the second method, the multiple sequence alignment method, that includes distance-based method and character-based method. Okay, so dot plot, dynamic programming, heuristic approach. These three are the major methods of pairwise sequence alignment. Okay, those who have some idea about sequence alignment, you must have gone through these three methods, and you must be knowing that out of these three methods, dot plot is the most oldest method. Okay, it was used way back. Okay, and this method was just used in order to find only the identical nucleotides or identical amino acids in case of DNA or protein sequences. So dot plots was giving just the information about is there any kind of identical nucleotides or amino acids when we are trying to align the two sequences or not. We were not supposing any kind of mismatches. We were not supposing any kind of gaps. Okay, which we can't ignore because we are supposing that variation had occurred. It was mutation, and that is the reason we are getting this amount of similarity, and the rest is representing our variation. Okay, so we need to consider all those mismatches and gaps as well. Okay, so dot plot didn't help a lot for the research and going with the sequence alignment process. And later on, there were two more methods. The first method was about dynamic programming, and the second method is heuristic approach. Okay, so after this session, you will be introduced to heuristic approach, what is heuristic approach, and the famous methods under heuristic approach are BLAST algorithm and FASTA algorithm. Okay, there are the most famous tools if we talk about bioinformatics. So you will just take the name of, there is a BLAST tool. We use the BLAST tool in bioinformatics. So that is a basic local alignment search tool, and that comes under our heuristic approach. Okay, so heuristic approach is a similarity search approach where we are trying to search for similar regions. This is said to be k-tuple or word search method also. Okay, so this word search or k-tuple refers to when we are searching, trying to search out certain segments of these regions. We had already defined that these are the sections that we need to search for, and for our sequence, query sequence, we will just extract those words and we will try to search these words from the sequences which are there in the databases. Okay, so the approach will always will be when we are trying to search for similarity for our query sequence, we will try to align it with all the sequences which are already there in the database. Okay, but what about the dynamic programming process, the method that I'll discuss today in my session today? Okay, distance-based and character-based method under this multiple sequence alignment, they're actually helping us to just go for the creation of this phylogenetic tree. Okay, so both these methods are actually under the phylogenetic tree construction method. If I'll talk about the multiple sequence alignment, then there is iterative method, there's progressive method, there is sum of pairs method. But I will talk about multiple sequence alignment methods that will ultimately lead to the phylogenetic reconstruction under distance-based and character-based methods. Okay, and lastly, we need to understand that whenever we are talking about similarity in sequences, then we are talking about similarity in structure as well as similarity in terms of function. Okay, so the first thing that is pairwise alignment we have talked, and what is pairwise alignment, that also we have talked. So that is when we are trying to align the two sequences, but the thing is how to calculate that there is similarity between two sequences. Okay, I told you that if we are going with any kind of alignment, we are trying to search for either local regions or we are trying to search for global regions. Okay, so these local regions are only those common regions or motif regions which are present across the two sequences. Okay, so they are not connected to each other. But somehow the global alignment is actually a region that we are considering from one end to the other end. We are considering the matches and we are considering the mismatches and gaps too. Okay, so this will be the concept for pairwise global and local alignment, and we will move ahead with this concept only. Okay, but how to go with the calculation of the alignment measure? For that, we need to calculate the alignment score. So the alignment score is actually being calculated, and this helps us to just get to know what amount, what percentage of similarity is there between the two sequences. Okay, I hope so you're able to understand this. So pairwise is when two sequences are being aligned. Okay, there are two types. We can search for local regions and we can search for global regions. Local regions are short similar regions, motif regions which are not connected to each other. Whereas these global regions, they are connected to each other because we are considering end-to-end alignment. We are considering everything, similarity, mismatch and gaps too. But the calculation of these kind of alignments, both local and global, is based on the alignment score value. Okay, you can see there are two sequences. In these two sequences, you can see there is sequence A and B, CAT-TCA-C, C-TCG-CAGC. Okay, so both these two sequences, you can see there is a gap. Okay, here it is a gap, here it is a gap, and here it is a gap. So these gaps are representing the insertion or deletion. So this is representing C and C is a match. A and dash is a gap. T and T is a match. This is a gap. This is a mismatch. This is a match, match and gap and match. Okay. So matches are representing that there is similarity. This gap here, this is basically representing that possibly these two sequences were identical to each other. Okay, so the concept is we are considering these two sequences were identical to each other. There must be some nucleotide here and that got deleted. And that was the reason, just because of the deletion of that nucleotide, this gap occurred. Okay. On the other hand, the second possibility which we are considering is that there was no nucleotide here. And what happened is this nucleotide, it got inserted here. So what we are considering is we are considering both the things. We are considering insertion and we are considering deletion. So indels are considered when we are talking about gaps. And mismatches are representing these. These are representing the substitutions. Okay, because what we are considering is that possibly both these, this T and G, T and G must be T for both. Okay, and possibly here T got substituted by G, or it can be a possibility that I am considering that both these were G once upon a time and G got substituted by T. Okay, so like this we need to understand that similarity is important and likewise the variation is also important. And probably while going with the process, I'll let you know that how we need to go with consideration of these insertions as well as the substitutions. Okay, so moving ahead to the next slide, this is the types of alignment. You can easily see here, this is local type here, this section is local type, and this is trying to represent the maximum aligned area. Only this A is aligned by a gap, but on the whole, it is representing a major similar area. Okay, whereas in case of global alignment, we will consider from one end to the other end. Well, while going with the study of alignment under global type, we will study the whole sequences. Okay. So then I told you that we need to go for the calculation of our alignment score again. So these two sequences which you can see here, both these sequences are already aligned. I had given you an example of sequences which are already aligned. How to align, I will let you know in further slides, but here you can see both are aligned. How you can just recognize it, because you can see there are dashes here. These dashes are representing the gaps. Okay, so wherever we are having matches, we need to consider where are the matches, where are the mismatches, and what about the gaps. Okay, so while calculating the alignment score, we will add all these three things. We will add the matches, we will add the mismatches, and we will add the gap penalties as well. Okay, so for example, like I'm having these two sequences and I have taken suppose match value as 10, the mismatch value as -2, and the gap value as -5. Okay, so a kind of a penalty I am putting up at here. So that is the reason I'm considering my gap value as negative, and similarly I'm considering my mismatch value also as negative, because both these are under my mutational conditions. I'm considering either substitution or I'm considering insertion or deletion. Whereas on the other hand, I'm considering matches as my positive value, trying to add on all the similar regions. Okay, so on the whole, I will consider my two sequences and I'll find out what about the gap. Is there a gap? So yes, there is a gap. I kept the value -5. There was a match. I kept the value 10. 10 again, then mismatch, so I kept the value -2, -5, and so on. And on totaling it, I got the value 11. So this is the value I got it from my alignment when I aligned both the sequences and I took my values as 10, -2, -5. This is the scoring scheme which I personally used. This scoring scheme is not any defined scoring scheme because we have certain standard scoring schemes. We use scoring matrices or we use these substitution matrices like PAM and BLOSSOM, both for nucleotides as well as for proteins. Okay, so we are having those standard scoring matrices and we can use the scoring schemes from there. But this is something which I have used personally. This is a scheme which the user can use, putting up the matches, mismatches, and gap values. And while comparing the sequences, like for example, my query sequence will be a standard sequence, and I'm comparing it with multiple sequence. So I can just compare the sequence, and whichever sequence is representing the highest score, I'll consider that is the most similar sequence to my query sequence. Okay. So this will be about the global alignment, and I'll move to my topic that will be my dynamic programming. Okay, so we have talked about what are the basics. Now we need to understand that what is dynamic programming. Okay, dynamic programming is the method that produces the optimal alignments. The alignment results which dynamic programming is producing, they are comparatively better than other methods. Okay. The approach what dynamic programming is considering is that under the dynamic programming method, the approach, what we need to do is we need to consider a problem. Okay, problem is we are trying to align the two sequences. Okay, so while aligning these two sequences, we need to consider certain sub problems. Okay, what are these sub problems? So sub problems are the probabilities when we are aligning these two sequences by different ways. Okay, so the two sequences, they need to be aligned. Okay, this is my major problem, and the purpose is to find out similarity between these two sequences, and I will try to find certain ways by which I can align my two sequences. Okay, so there can be three ways by which I can align my two sequences, and these are the three sub problems. Okay, what are those three ways? I'll let you know in my next slide. So the major problem is divided into the three sub problems, and now I need to go for the calculation of the solution for my sub problem. Okay, so like this, I will go with the calculation of my solutions to the sub problem. The best solution to my sub problem, okay, whichever sub problem I have got the best solution, that will be the answer to my problem. Okay, so this will be the approach. Okay, how it works, we will see it in further slides. Now, the second thing is whenever I am going with the process of dynamic programming, I need to understand, you all need to understand that when aligning the sequences, we need to find out the maximum possible similar regions. And in dynamic programming, although we'll include both the types, the global type and the local type, but our main purpose will be to go for searching out these similar regions, trying to include both the indels and substitutions. So what we are doing, we are including these mutations, the insertions, deletions, as well as these substitutions. Okay, so I'll talk about this. So there are basically two algorithms that comes under the dynamic programming method. Okay, the first one is the Smith-Waterman and the second one is the Needleman-Wunsch algorithm. Okay, so we are having the two approaches, the local approach and the global approach, to search for our similar regions. Okay, so in case of local approach, the algorithm which we are going to apply is said to be Smith-Waterman, given by these two bioinformaticians. Okay, and Needleman-Wunsch, they gave the algorithm for the global approach. Okay, so while going with the dynamic programming process, what we need to do is we need to create a matrix. And this matrix is a two-dimensional matrix. Two-dimensional as in because we are considering two sequences. What we are doing is we are aligning two sequences. So the kind of matrix we'll take is a two-dimensional matrix. Okay, we will keep one sequence at the row side and we will keep the other sequence at the column side. Okay, so this will be the approach for our dynamic programming actually. Okay. Okay. So I told you about this, the Riemann-Wunsch thing, the Smith-Waterman thing, and I also told this that while going with the calculation of the alignment score, we will consider the scoring schemes. What I considered in the slide back was a user-defined scoring scheme where I was just putting up values for matches, mismatches, and gaps. Or I can use the standard matrices like scoring substitution matrices like PAM and BLOSSOM, the person accepted mutation matrix or the point accepted mutation matrix, and the BLOSSOM, the block substitution matrix. Okay, both can be used for the same purpose. So what about the steps for this algorithm? Dynamic programming is actually studied in these three steps. The first one is initialization. Okay, the next step is matrix filling, and the third step is the traceback step. So these are the major steps for dynamic programming, both for global as well as for local type of alignment. Okay, so the three steps: initialization, matrix filling, and the traceback step or the backtracing step. So the algorithm will work on these three steps. Following these three steps, it will try to search out how the two sequences they are aligning to each other, trying to find out the maximum similar regions, considering mismatches and our gaps too. Okay, so this will be our approach to align the two sequences, trying to find out the similar regions and considering all the variable regions, that is the substitution, the indels and the deletions. That is, we are considering the gaps again. Okay, so this will be the approach, and I'll proceed with the algorithm for Needleman-Wunsch. Okay, so Needleman-Wunsch is having a defined step for initialization, which is different, totally different from my Smith-Waterman algorithm. Okay, you just keep in mind that Needleman-Wunsch is used for global type of alignment. Smith-Waterman is used for local only. Local, the local regions, Needleman-Wunsch, global, end-to-end alignment. Okay, so in case of Needleman-Wunsch and Smith-Waterman, the first step is initialization. These steps are common in both the algorithms. Okay, so in initialization step for Needleman-Wunsch, what we are doing is we are putting the values of gaps in first row and we are putting the values of gaps in first column. Okay, so I'll just show you the matrix once. So this is the matrix you can see here. The matrix is like this. It is a 2 by 2 matrix, 2 by 2 as in the two-dimensional matrix basically. So the two-dimensional matrix is, I have taken two sequences. One sequence is ATGC and my other sequence is ATCC. So both these sequences, they are, I'm trying to align both these sequences. I kept these sequences like this. One is kept at the row end and the other one is kept at the column end. Okay, so in case of Needleman-Wunsch, the example here I have given is the example of Needleman-Wunsch. You can see here I have kept the value 0. The 0 is actually kept here because there is no sequence here. There is no nucleotide here. There is no nucleotide here. So the value here is just a 0. Whereas I have kept the value -2, -4, -6, -8 in the first row. And in the first column, I have kept -2, -4, -6, and -8. Okay. So why I kept these values? Because in the initialization step, in the first step, what I need to do is I need to keep my gap penalty values in the first row and I need to keep my gap penalty values in the first column. Okay, so this is my approach, putting up the gap penalty values. So what I supposed was in the creation of this matrix, I suppose the gap penalty value as -2. So wherever I'm considering there is a gap, the gap, just because I'm considering the condition of indel, that possibly there is insertion or there is deletion. Insertion in one sequence or deletion in the other sequence at that particular position. So this is my consideration, my hypothesis, and based on this, I'm going with the calculation of my gap penalty value and using that gap penalty value here for my calculation of alignment score. Okay, so I took my gap penalty value. All these values which I have taken is my user defined scheme, and based on this, I'll let you know how we can go with the calculation of the alignment score. Okay, so A here is there, A is aligned with a gap, you can see, and A is aligned with a gap, so the value is -2. Okay, there is a gap. The nucleotide A, it is aligning with the gap, so the value is -2. When I move ahead to this block, you can see the chain length increased to 80. So what happened? This chain length 80, it is aligned to a gap. So when I calculate my alignment score for this particular section, I need to add -2 -2, that will be equal to -4. So that is the reason I kept the value -4 here. Again, my chain length increased to 3. ATG aligned to a gap, -2 for this, -2 for this, and -2 for this. So I kept the value -6. And so on. While moving from left to right, I need to keep on adding the gap penalty values. And in the same manner, while moving from top to bottom in the column, I need to put my gap penalty values and keep on adding for every matrix, for every block particularly. Okay, so this is the concept of initialization when we are considering the global type of alignment, particularly my Needleman Wunsch. Okay, and when I am talking about my local type of alignment, then both these first row and this first column, this will be filled by the value 0. We will just have the value 0 in the first row and the first column. Okay. Now, what I was telling you was the initialization. So we need to go with the step of initialization, fill the first row and the first column with the gap penalty value in case of Needleman Wunsch, and fill the first row and the first column with 0 values if I'm considering the Smith-Waterman algorithm. Okay. The next step is the matrix filling step. And in order to fill this whole matrix, what I showed was a filled matrix. First, I'll create this matrix, then I'll put these gap penalty values, then I'll keep adding these values. Okay, how to calculate these values? So while calculating these values, what we need to do is, we need to consider this. Okay, we'll consider that every block belongs to ith comma jth position. Okay, so I is representing row and J is representing the column. So every block of the matrix is ith comma jth block. And what we need to do is, in order to fill the value in this block, I need to have the values from these 3 blocks. Okay, so with the position, what I have mentioned here, you can see here, this is ith row, jth column. So this is the same row. ये रो जो है, this is the same row. That is the reason this is ith row. The position of this block is ith. But this column is previous to my jth column. So the position is jth minus 1. Okay. Previous to this block, इससे पहले जो block है, obviously the row is previous to this. So obviously the position of this block will be I minus 1. But the column is same. This is the same column. So the column is jth column. Okay. And similarly, here this is previous to this, okay, column. So this is j minus 1 column, and previous to this, so this is I minus 1 row. Okay, the positioning I'm just telling you, just that will be easier for you while writing the algorithm. When you are going with some kind of examination, putting up the answers for Needleman Wunsch, then you can use these positions. Okay, but you need to understand that while filling this matrix, you need to consider the values which are there in these 3 blocks. The purpose of these 3 blocks is we need to consider these 3 values, because based on these 3 values only, we will be able to put the value in this particular block. Okay, so how? Because what we need to do is, the value that was in the diagonal block, We can add the match and mismatch value in the block that was horizontally upwards, okay, and in the block that was in the left side of your block. So you need to add the gap penalty values, and then you will consider the maximum of all these three. जो भी maximum होगी out of all these three, we will keep considering that value. Okay, how? I'll let you know. Okay, second thing is, when we are going with Smith Waterman, then the fourth value is also taken. We are taking the fourth value, that is 0. Okay, so besides these three values, we are taking the fourth value, that is 0. And when we are putting up these values, we need to keep on adding the arrows also. Okay, next step will be trace back, the third step, and we need to trace the arrows from the bottom block to the up block. Okay, now I'll proceed to this matrix. I'll explain you what is the process which is going on actually here. So I took my two sequences. My first sequence is ATGC and my second sequence is ATCC. These are the two different sequences, and I want to understand that how these two sequences are actually being aligned. Okay, what is the alignment score and how they are actually aligned? Is there any kind of gap when I'm aligning these two sequences? Okay, here you can see the length of both these sequences is the same. I have taken a length of 4 here and the length of 4 here. Okay, while aligning the sequence, it can be a possibility, and majorly 99.9% when we are taking the two sequences, they are having a different length. Okay, just to explain you, I have taken a common length, but when we are supposing the alignment process, then obviously you will have two sequences with two different sequence length. Okay, second thing is, there is no rule that if we need to keep one sequence here, ATGC particularly here and ATCC here. You can keep ATGC here and ATCC here. Both can be done. Both are the ways you can proceed with the process. Okay, so the first step we started was my initialization. In initialization, I kept my values, the gap penalty values, -2, -4, -6, and -8. Similarly, -2, -4, -6, and -8. Okay, now this whole matrix, this will be empty. I need to put the value here. Okay, how I got this +1 value? So I told you I need to add the value that will be the maximum of three values. Value which is in this block, plus if it is a match, then I'll add match. Mismatch, then I'll add the value of mismatch. Okay, so how? So this block I minus 1 j minus block is having value 0. So I kept the value 0 here. Okay, this block I need to put is block में मुझे value रखनी है. So this is having A and A. A and A is aligned. Okay, this is a match. A and A is a match. And in my question, while I was considering the values, I took the value of match as +1. Okay, excuse me. So match is +1. +1 I kept here. And I added both the values. So my final value is +1. Okay, the next two values is this value. And the third value is this value. So I kept both these, -2, -2. And what I need to do is, I need to add the gap penalty values, which is taken as -2. So -2 again, -2 again, final score is -4, -4. I got these three values, +1, -4, -4. Out of these three, my maximum value is +1. So I kept my value +1 here. Okay, so while calculating the matrix, every time you need to keep in mind that to fill a block, you need to take three values, one diagonal, one upward, and one in the left block. Okay, next I will show you the same matrix. This is the matrix. I had filled this matrix, and here you can see I had put the arrows as well. So while going with the process of matrix filling, we need to keep on adding the arrows. Okay, why arrows? Why this arrow is here? This arrow is here. This arrow is pointing towards this block. Because what it is showing is that the value +1 is taken when the value of 0 was considered. Here, plus 1 was used when I took the value of 0, and 0 is there in this block. So what I did is I just mentioned the arrow here. Okay. यहाँ पर देख रहे हो आप, in the row and in the column, similarly we are putting up these horizontal arrows and vertical arrows just because this value was taken up by the help of this was taken up by this was taken up by this, and so on. Okay, when I had considered this value, then -1 I got, and -1 was a condition just because A and T is a mismatch. Okay, A and T is a mismatch, so -2 and -1 would be equal to -3. Okay, when I'll consider this block value, so -2 and -1 is -3, -4 and -2 is -6, and +1 and -2 is -1. So out of these three values, my maximum value is -1. That is the reason I kept this -1 here. And the arrow is upwards. Okay, because I took the value by the help of this matrix, and -1 is kept here. So in the dynamic programming approach, in the Needleman-Wunsch algorithm, we will keep on adding these values, as well as we will keep on adding the arrows again. Okay, because while adding the arrows, what we need to do, we need to trace back the step. आपका जो last step है, that is under the trace back step, these arrows need to be followed from the right bottom corner towards the left top corner. Okay, following all the possible pathways, finding out the maximal similar region of alignment. So this is the last step, tracing back. I will just try to find out which arrow is there here. So this is a diagonal arrow. This is pointing towards this block. Again, I am having a diagonal arrow pointing towards this block. Okay, and again a diagonal arrow pointing towards this block. So I am tracing my path, moving from last block to the first block. And my path I traced is, this is representing C and C. So I kept here C and C. This is representing G and C. I kept here G and C. This block is having T and T. Kept here T and T. And here it is representing A and A. Kept here A and A. So while tracing the path, I need to move from last to first. And while writing my path, I will write from backward to forward. Okay, while writing the sequence, you need to write from backward to forward. First CC, then GC, then TT and AA. And then I'll again put the values. AA is a match, TT is a match, GC is a mismatch, CC is a match +1. I'll calculate, I'll add all these values. I got the value of +2. And how to check that the process, the alignment is correct or not? The +2 value should be there in the last block as well. So the same values there in the last block, thus I conclude that the alignment is correct. And the process which I followed, this is the maximum possible similar region. With the sequence ATGC and ATCC, I got this alignment score. Okay, so this is all about my Needleman-Wunsch algorithm. You can go through these tools. These are the available tools for pairwise alignment. Dot matcher, dot path, dot tup, ES2 genome, matcher, needle, and polydot stretcher. Okay, blast and FASTA are also there. Okay, and blast and FASTA approaches, what are the different types? You'll go through all this in the next session, okay, in practical session. And we're talking about the multiple sequence alignment. I'll talk about what are the methods, what are the methods under phylogenetic tree construction in my next session. Okay, so thank you so much. I'll proceed with the phylogenetic tree in my next session. If you are having any questions, then you can just ask me. You can message me in my chat.